The video today could be good news, it could be bad news. It really depends on your overall sentiment towards fusion rifles in Destiny 2. Because the new craftable fusion rifle from Neomuna, the Iterative Loop, is the perfect fusion rifle for aggressive, immediate deletion in PvP. It's a brawler, gloves off, bare knuckles, screw your Snorri and your main ingredient, I'm gonna disintegrate you before you get through half your charge. Honestly, I wasn't even gonna bother crafting one of these. It's been several seasons since I really used a fusion rifle in PvP at all. I just really wasn't interested. Besides, I figured we have, the likely suspect from the Witch Queen, and that's the same archetype and craftable. But while I was working on getting footage for my final warning video, I came up against a guy in the Crucible who had a fully crafted Iterative Loop. And this guy was absolutely deleting me. I mean, instantaneous melting. He'd slide around the corner, and the very second that he was visible to me, I would just vaporize into Cheeto dust. It was actually maddening. I felt powerless with the final warning against it. There just simply wasn't enough time to dish out the kind of damage I needed in order to drop him before his charge time was up. So I checked out his role, and I was like, dang, okay, this thing has some juice under the hood. And that's what I'm going to show you today. Now, the clips in this gameplay are a little nutty at times. You'll see some wonky numbers too. Sometimes the fusion will be doing 28 damage per bolt and requiring about 8 bolts to fully kill someone. Other times you'll be seeing 33 damage per bolt and only 6 bolts needed to kill somebody fully. So I'll definitely explain that when we break down the perks. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of multi-kills in this gameplay where I'm not even shooting. And it's because I'm using my Threadling build. I call it my mommy's murder minions build, and it's disgusting. That'll be my next video, showing off that build and what it can do. There's one clip in here where I get a quad 4-piece kill, and I only actually shoot one person. It's comically strong and my favorite way to play PvP right now. But let's get to the basic stats of the Iterative Loop. The first thing that's noteworthy right out of the gate is the range stat. The likely suspect has 18 base range. Zealot's Reward, which is almost unanimously hailed as the best PvP rapid-fire frame fusion in the game, has a base range of 22. The Iterative Loop has the highest at 23. So for reference, that's also higher than the Cartesian coordinate. So highest base range right out of the gate. It's a really good start to be sure. The base stability is 30, which is the second highest of those before mentioned fusions, second only to likely suspect's 31. Handling is 52, again, second highest of the pack. 44 reload speed, 34 aim assist, 15 zoom, and 47 recoil direction. So quick summary, best range stat of any mainstream rapid-fire frame fusion out there, ranks almost at the top in everything else. So as far as the stats are concerned, it's not a hard sell, it's a standout fusion. But what really sets it apart for me is the perk pool. You actually have a few great options here. If you wanted to make this thing a monster after you get a kill with it first, you can do that. But what I prefer personally is turning this thing into a CQC brawling machine. In the first column, you've got Under Pressure, which has always been a top shelf perk for fusions, especially in PvP, where you rarely have more than half a mag of ammo. It gives you increased stability and accuracy on your shots when your magazine is at or below 50%. Now, these are monumental stat bonuses for winning duels with fusion rifles. I can't oversell their value, and it's why fusion users have fawned over this perk for literally years now. But what's really noteworthy here is that it's the only craftable rapid-fire frame fusion that has access to Under Pressure. That means it's the only one that can get enhanced Under Pressure, which even further increases those stat values gained from the perk. It's juiced! Next perk in the first column is Compulsive Reloader. It's good for PvE if you're running a Volt Shot combo. You've got Lead from Gold, Slick Draw, Grave Robber, Well-Rounded, and Killing Wind. So for PvP, the standout perks for me personally are Under Pressure and Killing Wind. I noted earlier that you can kit this thing out to be a monster after a kill, so Killing Wind is the perk for that purpose. But if you want a standout brawler, Under Pressure is the pick by a country mile. Always active, doesn't require any activation. You just have to have 50% of your mag or less. If you're running Warlock and you want to leverage Well-Rounded, that's an option too. You can toss 2-3 Arcane Needles and then you've got a juiced fusion, but again, that's very niche. In the second column, there's Volt Shot, which again, excellent in PvE. We all know that by now. You can always go with that and Compulsive Reloader with Volt Shot just to keep the lightning chaining. Then there's Kickstart. Now, this is what I went with on my crafted Iterative Loop. The math here is really important, so try and stick with me here. The way Kickstart works is that after sprinting for about 1.5 seconds, Kickstart will be charged and ready. Now, if you slide, you'll get a 20% damage buff as well as a 20% charge time reduction. So your charge time, multiply it by 0.8, that's your new charge time. So it goes from a 500 charge to a 400 charge. So you're getting your VOOP out faster, and faster really matters on a fusion, and that's why you can do the instant deletion with this thing. But that 20% damage buff is really important too. The Iterative Loop does 28 base damage per bolt fired. 20% is a 5.6 damage boost. Now Destiny does rounding really weird under the hood, and it doesn't show you decimal points, so we can only just sort of guess and infer how much damage we're actually doing here. So you're seeing 33 damage per bolt, which nets you 198 damage in 6 bolts. But the reality is that you're actually doing maybe something like 33.5, 33.6, depending on how they do the rounding per bolt, so it gets weird. In my testing, this dropped your required bolts to kill down to 6 bolts from 8 for every Guardian except Max Resilience. So tier 9 dropped in 6, but tier 10 did not. Even though, if the math is right, it kind of should. So it's confusing. So almost every Guardian is now no longer an 8-bolt kill. They're down to a 6-bolt kill, which gives you a lot of built-in forgiveness. So that's why I went with Kickstart. I don't need to get a kill to make this thing a monster. I just have to run and slide, which is basically what you're doing most of the time anyway. Next up, we've got Demolitionist, then Adrenaline Junkie, Elemental Capacitor, which works well on Void, Adagio, which is great for follow-up kills with 30% more damage with 10 more range and a slower charge time, and then Pugilist. So ultimately, here are my 2 recommendations for PvP. Either you go with the Snowball fusion that gets stronger after a kill, and you go with Killing Wind and Adagio, or you go for the Brawler. Always working, doesn't require a kill, but you gotta be mega aggressive with it, and that's Under Pressure and Kickstart. And to me, that's the play here. No other craftable fusion can do that. They can't be that. Likely Suspect doesn't have either one of those perks. If I wanted a great snowballing fusion, I've got some of those. I mean, I've got a Likely Suspect with Firmly Planted and Adagio. I want this fusion to lean into what makes it unique. Mine also has Particle Repeater for plus 10 stability, Small Bore for 7 more range and 7 stability, and a Stability Masterwork. And there it is. That's my Brawler Barrel Stuffer instant deletion machine. And it's kind of nasty, but I think the gameplay proved that point for me. Also, worth noting, Nanotech almost never does anything helpful in PvP on a fusion, so don't expect it to. Just like Psycho Hack on the Likely Suspect, they're kind of wasted origin traits in PvP. But either way, this thing really surprised me. If that guy hadn't kicked my butt in PvP with it, I never would have gotten around to taking a good look at the Iterative Loop. It's got banger base stats, unique perk combos, and it's fully craftable. All you gotta do is farm weapon drops on Neomuna. But I want to know what you think. How are you feeling about the Iterative Loop? Have you tried it in PvP? Have you gone against it in PvP? Did the gameplay today make you think of it in a new light? Hey, let me know in the comments below. I do try to read all of those. One thing I think the gameplay also did was just show off the potential range of this fusion too. For a rapid fire frame, I expected it to be not mapping people, but some of the kills are at some pretty considerable ranges. And I think that's due to the accuracy buff that I'm getting from Under Pressure. But anyways, thanks so much for watching the video. Please consider leaving a like on it only if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for additional Destiny 2 content. Be warm and well fed, my friends. Good luck in the raid this weekend if you're taking a crack at it, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.
Now you're fighting with heart, Guardian. 5 minutes, 2 for 1. Zone A lost.